What you're seeing right now is count them, 5 instances of Cyberpunk 2077 running on one system. Not that impressive. But what if I told you that in the background, we're also running Cinebench and encoding our screen cap using OBS and running this newfangled Bonsai Buddy? Holy shit! This thing is absolutely incredible. And the craziest part is we're still getting playable frame rates in all 5 of our Cyberpunk instances. This is the power of AMD's Threadripper Pro 9995WX. It has 96 CPU cores that can run at up to 5.4 gigahertz. It has 384 megabytes of level 3 cache, and with the click of a button, it can boost its default 350 watt power draw to over 800 watts. That is well beyond the limits of even this water cooling solution. That's why we brought this freshly repaired water chiller to explore the limits of the most ridiculous desktop CPU on the planet, and to see just how far we can push past them. The CPU's at 95 degrees.
And it's pulling 1900 watts.
This is terrifying. But first, I had to push past this segue to our sponsor, Ugreen. Their MagFlow power bank supports 25 watt Qi 2 wireless charging and a strong MagSafe hold. It has a 10,000 milliamp hour capacity with the ability to charge up to 3 devices at once. Check it out using the link in the video description. Before we can break the performance limits of modern computing, we've got to know exactly where they are. So let's back up to just a few months ago when we looked at AMD's top-of-the-line Threadripper Non-Pro 9980X. This 64-core monster, it turns out, was just the appetizer. This one is quite literally like putting 1.5 of these into the same motherboard socket. Or maybe a slightly different motherboard socket, if you want to get the most of it. More on that later. First, let's take a look at the carrier vessel that Falcon Northwest sent over for us to check it out in. This is the Falcon Northwest Talon, and oh my tabernacle, is it ever gorgeous. They did not have to do it up in this sick custom UV printed case inspired by our UV reactive LAN collection, lttstore.com. But the Mad Lads did it anyway, and that is the least crazy thing about this system. We're going to talk a lot about the Threadripper Pro 9995WX and its ludicrous 96 cores. But first, let's take a moment to admire the rest of this build. Let's get this side panel. Oh, wow. I can't find anything solid enough to get it to make a metal sound, but ooh, wow, that really hurt actually. That is a thick piece of aluminum, damn. Wow, that cable management. This is a 1600 watt power supply. And if you really look in there, there's lots of cables plugged into it. They just do an incredible job of hiding them away. When I built a test bench using this same platform, it looked like one of those Sentinel things from the Matrix. The other side is no less gorgeous. 128 gigs of DDR5 6400 ECC memory, and has tripled in value since Falcon sent us this system. And another big difference compared to your system at home is these are running in a quad channel configuration rather than dual channel, which doubles their bandwidth. And if that sounded crazy, wait till you see us running the Threadripper Pro in 8 channel. Wait, why aren't we doing that now? It's because while the Asus Pro WS TRX50 Sage Wi-Fi motherboard in here can work with both Threadripper and Threadripper Pro, its feature set is more targeting regular Threadripper. If you want to get the most out of a Threadripper Pro, you need a WRX90 motherboard. It has the same physical socket, but a different chipset. More on that later. First, we've got 3 4TB Kingston Fury Renegade PCIe Gen 5 SSDs in RAID 0. I don't think Falcon would ever really recommend that. They were just showing off on this system. And then for our GPU, we've got something that I've actually never seen before. This is the RTX Pro 6000. Pretty much it's a wolf in business suit clothing. It's a 5090, but instead of having 32 gigs of VRAM, it has 96 gigabytes of VRAM. It also has about 10% more CUDA cores, runs faster, and all that memory is ECC. Kind of want to do a full review of this thing. This kind of stuff Nvidia just does not send out for evaluation, because if you need it, you have a team of people to evaluate hardware for you. and you pay for your evals until you reach an even bigger scale. Finally, for cooling, it uses an AIO liquid cooler from Silverstone with a 280mm radiator and a custom CPU block that is specifically designed for Threadripper processors. And at the default power profile, it does great, as we're about to see. But I think we're gonna need more. Let's fire this thing up. Starting with Blender Monster, where we got nearly 25% reduction in render times. I mean, guys, look at this. This is not running on the GPU. That's insane. 52.5 seconds. That is over 10 seconds faster than the top of the line Threadripper non-pro. Look at this thing rip up threads like a pro. Or does it? Cinebench, and actually a lot of our benchmark numbers, look dangerously close to the same results we got with the 9980X. You know, the $5,000 processor, the one for non-professionals. Well, as it turns out, that's kind of by design. See, AMD allows you to put this bad boy in a peasant consumer TRX50 motherboard, but they don't really want you to. This is the Asus ProWS WRX90E Sage SE, and it's the big brother to the motherboard that we used in our 9980X review. This is possibly the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. In fairness to me, it's been almost 10 years since my last child was born, so I can hardly remember how beautiful that was. The first thing you might notice about this board is that flanking the CPU socket are not 4, but 8 memory slots, each running its own channel. That gives it up to 4 times the theoretical bandwidth of a desktop dual channel motherboard. The next thing you might notice is that it has a grand total of 7 PCIe by 16 slots. But unlike your typical gaming motherboard, where those are going to be running at often lower speeds or lower generations of PCIe, every single one of these is Gen 5 and the full 16 lanes. So you could literally put single slot water blocks on 7 GPUs in here. And I assume you could, because if you can afford this motherboard, you can afford 7 GPUs too. Lucky you. Oh man. The next thing I was gonna show you guys was all the M.2 slots, but I just cut my finger open on the I.O., so I guess we'll move over there. Oh, buddy. One lonely USB 2 is accompanied by a whopping 6 USB 10 gig ports, 2 USB 4 40 gig ports with DisplayPort injection, dual 10 gig networking ports with a gigabit management port, and look at that, convenient little clear CMOS button right on the back. I'm gonna need that Band-Aid now, thank you. Damn it. And if you thought we were done with crazy I.O., check this out. Every one of these M.2 slots is also at Gen 5, and because they just had extra lanes and no idea what to do with them, we've got a couple of slim SAS ports that are also Gen 4 by 4 each. Next to the 24-pin motherboard power connector, you will find 2 additional PCIe 8-pin connectors. Those are to provide extra power in case you actually load this thing up with PCIe cards. Then at the top, things get even more nuts, because there's not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 power plugs for the CPU. 2 normal CPU EPS connectors, and the other 2 PCIe 8-pin again. All for this bad boy. But it's only 350 watts. Why could it possibly need all of that? Because once we unlock it, it'll be a lot more than 350 watts, that's why. How much is that worth these days?
Well, when I wrote the script, it was $6,000. When we started shooting, it was $10,000, and now it's $17,000 of RAM. 1 terabyte, DDR5, ECC, 5,600 mega transfers per second.
The crazy part is this isn't even cutting edge speed. This is like last gen speed. So we're not even quite getting the most out of this CPU. But when we asked someone to send us over even a loaner of modern RAM to put in it, they laughed.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. If I don't do it right, it'll bite me again, so.
Do you want more goop?
Yeah, I'll take a little bit more goop. No keyboard detected. Now please press F1 to continue. You American Megatrends. Here we go, boys.
I like this. If we go into Ryzen Master and we hit apply on the overclock, 350 watts to 2,000 watt power limit.
That would not work with that piddly triple radiator. We're not even gonna try running it at stock. Well, I mean, we ran it at stock in the other one.
Yeah.
But did you guys get numbers for how it runs at stock? Just having 8-channel memory instead of quad channel?
Yes, and you'll see massive improvements in memory-bound benchmarks, things like 7-zip, or even like Y-Cruncher if you have to load in a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Because you have that nearly double the bandwidth. Even with the slower, higher latency RAM in here, there's still a massive increase in throughput just due to 8 channels.
But we want more.
2,000 watts? There.
Oh my God, that's insane.
and then it flips. Once it gets past 1,000, it goes, nope.
It just errored out. Also, 38.82 seconds. Did we hit 90 degrees on a water cooler? The water's heating up that fast,
Yeah.
right? Because the pump speed is the same, which means that from one run to the next, the load is the same and the pump speed is the same. So if it's running 3-4 degrees hotter, that means the water is 3-4 degrees hotter, which kind of makes sense because this is not that much water. Okay, how about Cinebench? We're idling at 40 now. That's how much hotter our water is. It's gone up like 7 degrees since we've been sitting here.
We're also idling at 122 watts on the CPU, which, to be clear, is the TDP of a 9800X3D.
Yeah. What score are we trying to beat here?
Running stock.
Okay.
So that's 7,387 in
I feel like
multi-core.
we're gonna beat that. What would our Threadripper non-pro hit?
Threadripper non-pro hits 6,671.
Okay. I can already tell that this is insane. How fast those boxes are finishing. This is crazy.
Yeah, this like usually takes like maybe 10 minutes on like a consumer CPU to finish this one image.
This is gonna finish in less than a minute. Does AMD ever get tired of winning? 8727, just shy of 9,000 points.
That's clears it by a ton. That's almost like a quarter better. It's more than 20% better over 350 watts. You're paying a lot for the power to do that.
You can afford it. Have we told them how much the CPU costs yet?
13K-ish.
Okay, our top one is 94 degrees. Okay, what frequency are we? You've got to be kidding me. It's running at 4.8 gigahertz across the board. Oh, Cinebench isn't even that heavy of a load, evidently. Just shy of 800 watts. Do you think it could do more?
Oh,
With better cooling?
yeah.
I feel like we've got to be capped here.
Let's do 7-zip because that's going to benefit from both the increased power to the CPU and the increased RAM.
128 out of 192. Am I reading this right? 11.5 gigabytes per second?
Yeah, that's the decompression rate. Let's go into 13. It's kind of fluctuating up, so it could be higher.
By the time it finishes the test, it settles in at about 11.5 each time.
Compare that to the quad channel memory,
We're more than double.
more than double.
I knew file decompression was memory limited, but that much?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And what about the compression? How are we doing there?
600 megabytes a second?
600?
600, yeah.
Compared to the 9980X, almost actually 50% faster.
So we're getting the full benefit of those cores, like full benefit. How do they build this? AMD, TSMC tour, maybe talk to your buds, get it arranged, we'd love to do it. How are we doing this with only 128 threads though? It's not even using all of the CPU cores, it's just all the extra memory bandwidth, I guess.
The memory bandwidth and the extra clock speeds, I guess. We got room to breathe, assuming we got room to cool.
All right, let's do it. Let's hook up the chiller. Let's go, Bruce Chillis. It's been a while. It's set to 5 degrees Celsius, which is probably a little low if we're trying to avoid condensation. We haven't insulated the board in any way. So why don't we start around 14? Oh, we already overshot it. Brilliant. Good job, Bruce. Bruce, is that on?
Yeah.
Okay, because we're gonna need to start putting some heat into this thing. You need to calm down.
Okay, let's just do Cinebench for now. I don't know if we're gonna get any more speed out of it.
Not without actually changing the CPU multiplier, I don't think.
Yeah.
And every single core is pinned at 4.8 gigahertz. And now that our coolant temperature is under control, we're peaking at 51 degrees.
Isn't it crazy to imagine that you have 500 amps and 800 watts going through those tiny little pins on the back of the CPU?
Bring back the blender. Or wait, did we get a score? And then
8311, not as good. You know what was hurting our scores though that I forgot? Because I got higher scores without it. We were OBS. Screen cap was hurting our scores a little bit.
We're using the GPU for the screen recording
Yes.
though, right?
Yeah.
It still does distract your CPU a little bit, 3825. So we are getting full performance in Blender.
Yep, and we peaked at 1130 watts. Oh, what was our peak temps there? 74 was our hottest.
Let's go for some more clock speed. Let's turn off OBS so we don't have anything running in the background. To the BIOS copter. Ah, the BIOS. Tweaker's paradise, they used to call it.
They still call it that, apparently.
They do, it's still there. That's great. Now look, a platform like this is gonna have all kinds of arcane voltages and settings that you can play around with to get the absolute most out of them. But today, we're not getting into any of that. So we're gonna be laser focused on just a handful of settings. Our CPU core ratio, we're gonna set to almost exactly 50, just a little bit over, and we are going to disable any VRM throttling and peak current control. We're gonna give this thing as much current as it could possibly ask for.
Oh, and we're gonna change the thermal limit.
Ah, yes.
Usually at 90, we're gonna bump it up to 110.
You hooked up a second power supply. Wait.
No.
No, you didn't.
This was just in case we wanted to game on it. I don't think the CPU could handle the slight voltage difference if they were both hooked up to 2 different power supplies.
No, but we could hook the second one up to the GPU.
That's the plan.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Already jumped up to 20 degrees.
Oh God.
300, 1,000.
We're still at 1100 watts. I thought we were gonna get more power.
Yeah, well, Cinebench isn't really that hard to run apparently. 8242.
But that's not as fast as the other one we did.
If you want something that's gonna hit it way harder and might show a better improvement, we could probably see that in Blender, because that was the other one that benefited the most from PBO.
We're only gonna get a benefit here on loads that can't take advantage of a few cores boosting up even higher.
Exactly.
So the way we've tuned it now is really only useful for multi-threaded workloads, which, I mean, I thought Cinebench was one, but I guess you just don't have enough threads for me, Cinebench. Okay, let's see how Blender does.
Our time to beat for Blender is 39.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
The CPU's at 95 degrees.
And it's pulling 1,900
God.
watts.
This is terrifying. Did you say we were in a 1,600 watt power supply?
Yeah.
I mean, we're well beyond the measurable range for CPU package power. That just doesn't work.
So the only prescribed limit right now in the BIOS is 2,000 watts.
35.88.
10% would be about 4 seconds. That's about a 10% improvement. If we pull up something more aggressive like Prime 95 though, we will find that we're thermally constrained.
Will we?
Yes. Or maybe even power constrained.
Will we? Ah, and there it goes.
Yeah, just fully rebooted.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I'm amazed that at no point did our power supply trip.
And our breaker for that matter.
If we're gonna want to run a game, it might be in our best interest to use a second power supply for that guy.
Okay, cool. Brilliant. So we could fire up Cyberpunk, but I think the game everyone wants to know about is Cities Skylines II. Can the Threadripper 9995WX finally tame this hot pile of city? 500 watts in Cities Skylines 2?
Hottest is 85 degrees Celsius.
We're using 3% of our memory.
But somehow 26% of our CPU.
And it's still chugging. This isn't even that big of a city. Have they still not fixed this thing?
No, this game, like, it's just impossible to run because it's so broken at a core level, like me, that it'll just never really work properly. Like, this is not even high graphics settings.
We're running at 1080p. This is the most powerful computer.
It just doesn't matter when the game is the bottleneck.
Cyberpunk. Theoretically, right? If you're not familiar with this card, it's possible that Nvidia's professional drivers, they just ain't that good at gaming. So let's see. Ooh, that ray trace lighting though, boys.
That looks great.
That does look great.
90 FPS.
Oh God, officer, he jumped right in front of my
You
car.
are the police, you don't have to worry.
That was not my fault.
It's 100% legal. Just run him over to make sure he can't testify against you.
In conclusion, this thing is a next level beast, so powerful that we struggled to find benchmarks that could even use all of its cores while still being relatable to consumers in any way. But spending more on our computer doesn't necessarily make for a smoother experience. We had issues with motherboards, with the RAM controller, with PBO performance optimization. See, the core problem here is that both HEDT, or high-end desktop, and workstation are relatively small niches of hardcore compute folks. Folks who are going to be expected to go and chase support from the system integrator or the VAR who provided their equipment. So, yeah, it's a bummer that enthusiasts can't buy these Threadripper Pro chips from official sources. But even if they could, it'd be hard to recommend them to anyone who isn't making copious amounts of money with their PC. So, it's time for the uncomfortable conversation. If you missed it earlier, this chip goes for somewhere around $12,000 if you can find a source for it, which AMD will not give you officially. You add a terabyte of RAM for another 10 grand plus, I mean, who knows what's going on with that, and I don't know, a couple of pro Nvidia GPUs for 10 Gs plus a pop, and all of a sudden a WRX automobile starts to look more practical than a WRX computer. But for the folks who need this kind of performance, like you're a university or an engineering lab and you need to run simulations. Sure, you could book access to the supercomputer, or you could have 25 meetings to get a server in the university rack, or you could just have one meeting, get this thick boy in your lab, and let her rip. Now it's time for a thick segue to our sponsor.
Micro Center! Just when you thought they were out of Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals, they pull you right back in. All throughout December, they'll be offering deep discounts on a wide range of products. We're talking CPUs, GPUs, and maybe some other PUs that definitely don't stink either. Make sure you stop by your local Micro Center to browse their deals. The folks over at Phoenix did at their newest location, which, by the way, had a massively successful grand opening. Oh, and speaking about browsing, you can even check out posts and articles on new and exciting tech-related topics over at their MC News page. So click our link in the description to see what's on sale today and grab yourself something nice before time runs out.
If you guys enjoyed this video, why not check out the time we looked at the slightly more attainable Threadripper Non-Pro 9980X. It's only got 64 cores though, so I don't even know if it'll excite you.